Info Ninja. Welcome back to the dojo, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Did I mention we're back on ScrewTube? How did that happen? It's almost like YouTube figured out that Donald Trump won the election in a landslide, and it's time to stop playing dirty. I don't know, but I'll take it. So we are back on YouTube. You can find our videos there. You can find us on X at Info Ninja Show. You can find us on Donald Trump's True Social at Info Ninja. You can share us anywhere too. You can share us on Instasham. You can share us on Fascist Book. You can share us anywhere podcasts are sold, and please do that. Now, before we get started, this is a big announcement for me. I'm very happy about this one, and hopefully you're happy about it too, because we've talked a lot about the power of prayer on this podcast. We have said on this show time and time again, we need to pray for this election because we were gonna lose, but God. And now we need to keep praying. We need to pray for the current government. We need to pray for the future government. And we need to be saying thank you, thank you, thank you to Jesus because of what just happened in this election, but mostly because he died for our sins. Well, totally because he died for our sins, but all the other stuff is great too. So if you're praying and you're thanking God, you might also be praying and asking God for help. Maybe there's something hard going on in your life. Maybe there's something hard going on in somebody else's life that you care about and you want to pray for them. Well, don't do it alone. Definitely do it. Talk to the big man on your own, but don't do it alone in the sense that you're the only one praying. Ask for your Christian brothers and sisters to help you, and we're going to do that on this show moving forward. So I am happy to announce the new edition, the grand unveiling of the Info Ninja prayer request line. And if you do make a prayer request, we may even talk about it on air. I won't use your name or anything like that or any identifying information, but we might ask people to pray around the world for you. But if you have a prayer request, you can send it directly to the show right now using this email address. It's really easy to remember. It is praylikeaninja@gmail.com. praylikeaninja@gmail.com. Just send me your prayer request. Again, I won't share your information with everybody, but I will pray for you and I will ask others to pray for you. So again, send your prayer request to us, praylikeaninja@gmail.com. Let's get to it.
All right, let's do this.
So we had reported, and this came from a bombshell study/report out of Arizona Christian University. They have a big research center there. We had reported that they announced that about 40 million Christians were planning on not voting in this most recent election, which still blows my mind. I mean, talk about an election that was truly good versus evil. And we were going to sit this one out. We Christians were going to stay on the bench. I do not get that. I mean, I understand the idea that you don't need a president when you have a king, and God is the king, Jesus is the king, but still, it reminds me of the old proverb story, whatever it is, of the guy that's on the roof of his house and the town is flooding, and he's there on the roof of his house and it's still raining, and a rescue boat comes by and it says, "Hey, you're gonna die, man. The water's still rising. Get in the boat. We'll get you out of here." And the guy on top of the house says, "No, the Lord will provide. The Lord will take care of me." So the boat waves at him and boats on away. And then a little while later, the water is rising and rising more, and a helicopter comes by, a rescue helicopter, and they say through a loudspeaker, "Hey, dude, we're going to drop you one of those rope ladders because you're going to die soon. It's still raining." And the guy yells up at the helicopter, "Nope, don't waste your time. The Lord is going to save me." Well, fast forward about an hour later, it kept raining, and the guy died. He drowned, and he goes up to heaven and he meets God and he says, "God, I don't get it. I had such faith in you. I knew that you were going to come save me and you didn't do it." And God said, "What are you talking about? I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter. Help yourself, man. Help me help you." I feel like that's what God was saying in this 2024 election. Hey, I want to help you, and I'm giving you an election to do it. Get out there and do something. Don't be a weak man, be a strong man. So after that report came out that the 40 million Christians were not going to vote, they asked pastors and podcasters like me to take action, and we did that. I did an episode about why Christians needed to vote, and many of my favorite religious leaders and pastors and priests on YouTube were encouraging their congregations to go vote. And it worked. Obviously, I can hear you saying, Info Ninja, duh, it worked. Donald Trump won. And that's actually not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it really worked. It really worked so much that it ended up that Christians were the reason Donald Trump won this election. Wow! Way to come out and do something, guys and gals. Way to come out and finally put your money where your mouth is. Way to get in the rescue boat. Way to climb up the rope ladder and help God help us. So this was another recent study from the same Arizona Christian University. They looked at all the voting numbers, and these are, I don't want to say they're shocking, but they're important to pay attention to, and I think they're really, really cool. So check this out. Out of the 100% of old enough Christians, old enough to vote Christians out there, only 56% of them turned out to vote. Now remember that number, only 56% of them turned out to vote, because that's going to give you an idea of how many Christian voters there actually are out there. And spoiler alert, there's a lot. Folks, if we would just organize, if we would just go, hey, let's vote on the way the Bible tells us to vote, vote based on biblical principles, we would never lose another election. Just keep that in mind. So 56% of Christians, self-identified Christians, came out and voted. I don't know what happened to the other, what would that be, 44% of Christians that didn't vote? They stayed on the bench. Get off the bench, folks. You can't do it again. You can't do it anymore. Now, when it comes to other faiths, non-Christian faiths, only 53% of those people came out and voted. So 3% more for the Christians, which I guess is encouraging. Now, out of the group of people that voted out there, 48% of voters claimed to have no faith at all. They either didn't believe or didn't know what they believe, but they don't identify with any religion or any faith at all. 48% of those people came out and voted. So that's a really interesting thing to think about. So out of those 48% that don't believe that there's a God out there that could actually help them, and they would actually have to think they have to take everything into their own hands and do it all on their own, only 48% of them came out to vote. But out of the group of people that believe that God is out there and that they can trust in Him to provide, and they don't really have to do it all on their own, 56% of them took matters into their own hands. Just an interesting thought about that. But it gets even more interesting. So out of the group of Christians that voted, which type of Christian voted the most? Well, the two biggest groups of Christians that came out for President Trump were Catholics and Christians who professed a biblical worldview. So this is not those Christians that think the Bible might be wrong in a few places. And, you know, the whole gay thing, God might have got that incorrect. Or the whole gender thing, I don't think he quite got it correct. But I still believe in Jesus. It's not the real Jesus that they believe in. They believe in their own version of Jesus and their own version of the gospel. But they are not considered to be Christians with a biblical worldview. So it was Catholics and Christians with a biblical worldview, and it just so happens that I'm both of those. I am Catholic and I have a biblical worldview. And another interesting thing about the Catholics and the Christians with a biblical worldview, 3% more of them voted in this election than they did in 2020. So how about when it comes down to party lines? How did this break down? Well, 56% of Christian voters voted for Donald Trump, while 43% of Christian voters voted for Democrats. And again, pay attention to these numbers, folks, because it's giving you an idea of how many Christians there are out there that could vote in every election. But 43% of them that were Christians voted for Democrats. These must just be the self-identified Christians without a worldview that is biblical, because that doesn't make any sense to me at all. But 56 to 43% for Democrats. So when you break this down, okay, when you break this down, and this all comes through some Rasmussen stuff here too, 75 million votes is how many votes that Donald Trump got roughly. And out of those 75 million votes, 3/4, well, more than 3/4, 3/4 of those votes, 78% of the votes this election for Donald Trump came from Christians. That is awesome, because they won the election for Donald Trump. Rasmussen is quoted as saying, "What we saw is that 72% of those who came out and voted were Christians. And those Christians gave Trump a 17 million vote advantage or cushion. And because of the close margin between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, those 17 million votes, that cushion, made his victory, his lead, insurmountable for Kamala Harris. i.e., Jesus just won the election for Donald Trump. Wow, baby. I just think that's so cool, because we pushed for it on this show and pastors were pushing for it, and it happened. It's just, like I said, we were going to lose, but God. Now, this is the last point that I'm going to leave you with here, and it's kind of a sad point, I guess. So, which group of Christians were most likely to vote against Donald Trump? Which group were part of that 43% that voted Democrat? And those people were black megachurches. Not a surprise. And that is not a racial thing at all, but it happens to be that a lot of these pastors at these large black megachurches, and I shouldn't say a lot, let's just say a few, prominent few, wannabe celebrities. They want to be on camera. They want to hang out with P. Diddy. I question how saved they are. I question how much God they have in their heart, because I see how they lead their sheep. How they're leading their flock is in the direction of TikTok trends and wokeness. It doesn't feel much like biblical Christianity to me. But the big takeaway from all this, folks, is that the biggest voting group in this country are God's people. Every election from here on out, let's act like it. Hi-yow! Info Ninja. If you liked what you heard, please give me a thumbs up, a comment, and a share. You can find us on X at Info Ninja Show, on Rumble, Truth Social, YouTube, and of course, anywhere podcasts are sold.